The top 15 highest paid public speakers. Welcome to Alux.com, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired. If you're not subscribed yet, you're missing out. Hello Aluxers, welcome back. It's so great to have you here with us as we're taking a look today at the highest paid public speakers in the world. Public speakers are skilled orators who inspire others to make positive changes in their lives and then teach them how. It's become quite the prolific business in the past 2 decades, one that some individuals have become masters of. Getting a high-profile person to speak at your event can cost you somewhere between $30,000 and, well, let's just say the sky's the limit. The reason for the broad price range is simple: popularity, experience, and supply and demand. Stay tuned to find out the mind-boggling numbers some of these people receive just for a few minutes of speaking. Number 15. Colin Powell. Fee: $150,000. Kicking off this list with a highly respected man who's a retired 4-star general and the first African-American to serve as the U.S. Secretary of State under George W. Bush from 2001 to 2005. Colin Powell is one of the greatest communicators of our time, and back when he started speaking, he made a commitment to be an effective and persuasive public speaker to impact and influence as many people as possible. He's known for his engaging speeches and reportedly asks for a minimum of $150,000 per speaking engagement. Over the years, Powell has raked in tens of millions of dollars on the after-dinner lecture tours and typically speaks on leadership, education, and patriotism. Number 14. Condoleeza Rice. Fee: $150,000. Rice served as Secretary of State under George W. Bush from 2005 to 2009, being the successor of the previous speaker on this list. And just like Powell, she made history when she became the first African-American woman this time around to fill the position of U.S. Secretary of State. Condoleezza Rice is renowned for delivering speeches to a large number of corporate clients, as well as being much sought after by universities, commanding a going rate of $150,000 per speaking engagement. And between these speaking engagements and business ventures, she's been pretty busy since her position of Secretary of State. She's also well known as being a woman who likes to break down social barriers. Number 13. David Cameron. Fee: $155,000. This former British Prime Minister is doing pretty well for himself since he resigned and left the UK Parliament, commanding a minimum of $155,000 per speech, which is almost as much as his salary when he was the Prime Minister. David Cameron's experience in leadership at an extraordinary and stormy time in global affairs is very valuable, which is reflected in the minimum fee he asks for a speech, and the fact he was the youngest Prime Minister in 2 centuries further increases his value as a professional. Number 12. Matthew McConaughey. Fee: $166,000. Matthew McConaughey is a force of nature both on and off the screen. Besides his prolific acting career, he also does very well in business, takes part in numerous philanthropic activities, and speaks to numerous organizations, especially universities. Now, we're not really sure how he got to asking for such a random number as a base fee for a speech, but when the chips are on the table, Matthew can certainly deliver a 5-star speech any day of the week. In fact, he's famous for delivering one of the best speeches in history at the University of Houston. In speeches, McConaughey balances empowerment with entertainment, sharing lessons from his life and career, the impact of his philanthropic efforts, and the importance of chasing your passion. One thing's for sure, when it comes to this great man, he doesn't just give a great speech, he delivers an experience. Number 11. Tim Geithner. Fee: $200,000. This statesman is the former Treasury Secretary that served under Obama from 2009 to 2013, as well as the former New York Federal Reserve Bank president from 2003 to 2009. Geithner asks a standard $200,000 per speaking event. However, sometimes he settles for as low as $100,000. His services are well sought after by financial institutions as well as other entities for a variety of industries, with some of his most notable clients including Blackstone Properties and Deutsche Bank. Number 10. George W. Bush. Fee: $200,000. Almost immediately after leaving office, former President George W. Bush took to public speaking, trading one podium for another. Since then, he's made tens of millions of dollars all from speaking fees, charging a minimum of $200,000 each one. Like many former presidents, he's created a name for himself speaking at many corporate events, gradually increasing his presence and value as a public speaker. And Aluxers, if you'd like to learn some more about this, head over to our video, How Former American Presidents Get Rich from Speaking at Corporate Events. Click or tap in the top right corner to watch. Number 9. Ben Bernanke. Fee $200,000 to $400,000. This man was the chairman of the Federal Reserve for 8 years, starting in 2006, and like other financial experts, he's a valuable catch on the after-dinner circuit. After leaving his position, Bernanke made tens of millions of dollars in speaking fees, charging a standard fee of $200,000, which could go up to $400,000, depending on a variety of factors. His main audience consists of private equity firms, trade associations, banks, and other financial institutions. Number 8. Bill and Hillary Clinton. Fees $200,000 to $450,000. The Clintons pretty much created the modern blueprint for how to get rich once a president leaves the Oval Office. They've spoken at a wide range of events across the world, from environmental conferences to business meetings, oftentimes promoting causes such as HIV/AIDS treatment, economic empowerment, and leadership development. Over the years, they've slowly built up their value as public speakers, which reflects in their current fees for an engagement, starting off at $200,000 and going up to $450,000 depending on a few factors. However, we should mention on a few occasions they've even received higher checks than that. One time in Nigeria for $700,000, and at an Ericsson event for $750,000. After nearly 2 decades of being in this business, this couple has racked up in speaking fees a hefty sum of around $200 million. Number 7. Tony Blair. Fee $250,000. And coming to the second non-American on this list, who also happens to be a former British Prime Minister and the most sought-after British politician on the after-dinner circuit. Ever since he left office back in 2007, he's made millions delivering speeches around the world. His going fee is around $250,000. However, this is not quite consistent, being known to ask for more or less, but usually more, depending a lot on the event, organization, who asks for the service, and geography, among a few different factors. Number 6. Alan Greenspan. Fee $250,000. Former chair of the Federal Reserve and leading economist, since retiring, Greenspan has been able to bring in big sums of money giving speeches. He's more in demand now than ever, and his insight into finances brings him a hefty check per speaking engagement of around $250,000. Number 5. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Fee $250,000. Bodybuilding legend turned business mogul turned A-list actor turned politician. There's probably little in this world that Arnold can't do with stirring success. Terminating much of the competition on this list, Arnold Schwarzenegger is a super popular after-dinner speaker who's delivered many times many iconic speeches that have resounded with millions around the world. Needless to say, getting the Terminator to speak at your event will cost you a fortune of around $250,000, as well as first-class private jet transportation and accommodation for himself and his team. Number 4. Tony Robbins. Fee $300,000. Next on our list is the ultimate guru of motivation recognized by millions around the world. Tony Robbins has risen from obscurity and poverty to become perhaps the greatest speaker and life change strategist in the world. His going rate for a keynote starts off at $300,000, depending strongly on his skills, experience, and portfolio. But with his crazy busy schedule, you'd be lucky to get him at your event even if you agree to his high fee. And Aluxers, you can find out some more about Tony in our dedicated video all about him. Click in the top right corner to check it out. Number 3. Rudy Giuliani. Fee $300,000. Former mayor of New York, Rudy Giuliani is considered by many a top-notch speaker who pulls in millions of dollars per year in speeches ever since he left office back in 2001. He speaks mostly about leadership as well as other subjects, charging as much as $300,000 per speaking engagement, and much like the Terminator, requires first-class private jet transportation and accommodation for himself and his team. Number 2. Barack Obama. Fee $400,000 to $600,000. Quickly after leaving the Oval Office, Obama joined the speaking circuit and became one of the highest-paid public speakers in the world. He and Michelle followed in the footsteps of the Clintons, and they're well on their way of surpassing them. His popularity, experience, and insight is highly in demand around the world, which allows him to rake in exorbitant amounts of money of each speaking engagement, starting off at $400,000, and one time even got paid $600,000 for a speech he gave in Bogota, Colombia, at the largest marketing and business event in the country. Obama talks about leadership, economy, community, and plenty of other topics which he considers deserving of the attention for the progress of each and every one of his listeners. Number 1. Donald Trump. Fee $1 to $1.5 million. And taking home the gold in this one is none other than the 45th President of the United States and one of the most controversial politicians in history, Donald Trump. Back when he wasn't involved in the political sector, at the height of his popularity, Donald Trump was commanding an outstanding base sum of $1 million per speech, even going up to $1.5 million. That's impressive, to say the least. He usually delivered speeches to financial institutions, a variety of events, real estate companies, and many other companies from different industries. We just have to wonder, is he worth the money? And all that concludes our list, Aluxers. Tell us, do you have a favorite public speaker yourself? Let us know in the comments. And of course, for sticking with us until the end, here's that bonus we owe you. Back in 1989, Ronald Reagan, also titled the Great Communicator, reportedly received $2 million for 2 speeches he delivered in Japan to a media company. He created a national sensation in Japan, boosting the company's image and popularity. And keep in mind, this was 1989. If we adjusted that amount for today's economy, that would be closer to $2 million per speech. Thank you for spending some time with us, Aluxer. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss a video. If you want more, we handpicked these videos you might enjoy, or head over to Alux.com for the best in fine living content on the planet. Be a part of the largest community of luxury enthusiasts in the world and tell your story.